Talk about economic nonsense. I'm reading this article that is from Rolling Stone. The guy that wrote it, Jesse Meyerson, who was one of the leaders of the Occupy Wall Street movement, and now he's writing a column. And this one, you can read it for yourself, just so you see that I'm not making this up, right? 5 economic reforms millennium should be fighting for. Now, I mean, you might as well call this, the 5 planks of his own Communist Manifesto, because that's where he got all the stuff. He took it right out of Marx. But the number one thing he wants on his list, guaranteed work for everybody. Yeah, that sounds great. Guaranteed work. The government guarantees everybody a job who wants one at a livable wage, regardless of whether or not you actually have any skills. You see, and if the government is going to guarantee you a job, then where's the incentive to actually perform on the job? See, if you have a job guaranteed, you can't be fired, then why even do it good, right? I mean, you're going to get the job whether you do a good job or a bad job. So if the government's going to guarantee everybody a job, well, I mean, what kind of performance are they going to have? And where's the money going to come from to pay for all these government guaranteed jobs? So you're going to have to suck it out of the private sector. It doesn't work, right? This is a nonsense idea. You have to be a moron to think that the government can guarantee everybody a job at a livable wage. Right? They tried that, right, in the Soviet Union and didn't work. Here, number 2, Social Security for all. Now, what does that mean? I'm thinking, what does he mean, Social Security benefits for all? Here's what he writes. He says that, what if people don't want a job? That should be their choice. You see, if you want a job, the government will give you one. But what if you don't want a job? Well, then the government will pay you anyway. See, he's advocating that everybody get a certain amount of money from the government, whether they have a job or not. See, he thinks that people should be able to choose not to work and let other people or force other people to support them. This is what this guy believes, right? Because who wouldn't choose that, right? If you could choose not to work and just just live your life carefree, just hang out at the beach and, have sex and, just hang out with your friends, maybe get stoned or whatever it is, that should be your right. You should just be paid. You should just collect money. You shouldn't have to have a job, because he says that forces people to make choices that they might not want. That people should have the right to get a life. I'm just reading from this, that you shouldn't have to be forced to work if you don't want to. In other words, if you don't want to work, you shouldn't be forced to work, but you should be able to force other people to support you. Now, here's, I guess, the question that this guy never bothered to consider. What if everybody decides to choose not to work? What if everybody says, yeah, that's the life for me, and nobody wants to work? Well, we all just starve to death, right? Because there's nobody doing the work. We all chose to live off of somebody else rather than to be productive ourselves. And since, we all made the same choice, then we all die of starvation. But can you imagine to say that I shouldn't be forced to have to work, right? I shouldn't have to work, but I should be able to use the government to force other people to work, to provide for me, because that's the only way that you can live without working, is if someone else does the work for you, because it's not free. Then in number 3, take back the land. He wants the government to nationalize land. He wants to take away property that the rich people own. Okay, so let's nationalize the land. Then number 4, make everything owned by everybody. Now he wants to nationalize the capital, right? And then number 5, a public bank in every state. So he wants the government to loan out money to people in every state, regardless of whether or not they can pay it back. So what is this guy advocating? He's advocating that we nationalize real estate, we nationalize capital, the government guarantees everybody who wants a job, and everybody who doesn't want a job as the same amount of money as the people who want jobs. Although, if you could get the same amount of money not working as working, why would anybody want one of those jobs? I mean, if the government said, look, you got a choice. Right? You can show up every day, 9 to 5, and collect a paycheck, or you cannot show up and collect the same paycheck. You choose. I mean, who's going to be dumb enough? But here's a guy. This guy's actually got a column in a magazine. A complete communist moron. Right? Because you can't have any intelligence whatsoever to actually believe in any of this nonsense. To me, it makes more sense that little kids believe in Santa Claus and an Easter Bunny and a tooth fairy than that a grown man can believe in this nonsense. In fact, even if a grown man believed in Santa Claus, that would make more sense to me than believing in communism.